How's it going, Terran House? Today, the Nyx Rework. This is obviously the Nyx Gemini skin. This is what my Nyx normally looks like. Showing off the fancy animation. There you go. That's how my Nyx normally looks. Because I use the other skin. But, you know, whatever. So, Nyx got her rework. And she's actually a very, very powerful frame right now. So looking at her new abilities, first off, new passive. She gets 40% crit chance with primary and secondary, specifically not melee is kind of weird to me. I would have just rather seen it be all weapons, but I guess they don't want melee Nyx to be a thing. Whatever. Per enemies within affinity range up to 200%. That is the same as your point strikes, your critical delays, your blah, 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 blahs. It's not final crit chance, but... you know, pretty good. Means that she's bad with the Latum and the Fenmore. Okay, whatever. Mind Control makes it so that way the Mind Controlled unit is... it had a lot of under the table stuff. The Mind Control unit is now like way more suicidal, which is good because the thing's immortal and you want it to be suicidal. You want it to be kind of tanking and you want it to be spreading your status. Now enemies that are hit by this will... spread your status and they'll spread radiation, which is important because you're actually a very radiation focused frame now. Psychic bolts, you strip armor, overguard, and shields, and then you give yourself the restore. You restore a flat amount. You steal overguard though, so you only get overguard if your enemy has overguard, and I'm pretty sure you only get the armor or the shield restore if you hit enemies with armor and shields. So this is really nice as long as you're not against infested. Against infested, kind of rough. Your 3 chaos, you do this like a wave and you cause enemies to be under the effects of a radiation status effect. They get 10, which is nice for priming. It's also just like good in general because it means that it procs your passive. You get a bunch more damage. And then you have your absorb. So you activate the ability, you draw and fire. It has a set duration and you convert a portion of the damage that you've absorbed into damage for your weapon. You also get a brief moment of invulnerability after, depending on the amount of damage you take. So you get up to 6 seconds. So basically you're a very disruptive tank frame now, which is kind of funny to say about Nyx. I did give her this Amber Shard a while ago for maximum energy on spawn. I honestly feel like I don't need this anymore with the new build, but hey, you know, I haven't played with Archon Shards. Definitely looking at a casting speed shard because her 3 is kind of slow. And this is the build that I've been using. It may seem weird to put Prime Sure-Footed on a frame that has Overguard, but you don't have ready access to Overguard, which means it can be kind of rough to deal with statuses in general, which is part of the reason we have Rolling Guard. You could, unironically, do like Vigor or Primed Vigor here if you don't care about Rolling Guard. You would have to form it again for that. And the reason I would recommend that is, again, you don't have steady overguard and you're getting a lot of shields. The problem is you are not Hildred. You are not immune to toxin damage by all of your shields. So maybe you go with Vigor just to give yourself some more HP, especially since you kind of do need to run an Arcane Energize with this build. You could, if you wanted to, drop Molt Augmented and then replace it with Arcane Blessing to get your health up that way if you wanted. I just think Molt Augmented and stacking a bunch of power strength is so good for this Warframe, especially for your 4. You don't really need this much strength. Your Psychic Bolts only need... Augur Secrets will get you, like, more than enough strip to fully... like, a 99% defense strip is going to be more than applicable. But by having more range, you get more shield strip, you get more overguard strip, you get more armor strip. And with duration from Prime Continuity, we get a longer amount of time that we have those increased defenses, as well as the nice speed decrease. Slowing enemies down is pretty good. We are running Pacifying Bolts just for another source of bolts. Actually, this gives you 3 more bolts. Your base is 6, and it's not modifiable by power strength. So this giving you 50% more bolts is just really nice. Obviously, more bolts, more stealing, more defense, more not dying. Kind of all feeds into itself. And then we got Prime Flow, Streamline, just to make up for Blinding Rage. Brief Respite, actually, I really like using Brief Respite with Blinding Rage, especially when I have an Augur mod, because it means that your 2 basically can give you a shield refresh on your shield gate while you're waiting for the shields to come to you, because you don't instantly get the shields from casting your 2. Let's go on ahead and throw out a bunch of enemies here. These guys don't actually even have shields. So, as you can see, I'm not going to get shields from them, right? So, having Brief Respite and Augur means that I can kind of, you know, get some shields even though I don't have enemies that I'm vamping shields from. Which is part of the reason why it's really tough when you go against Infested, because the Infested don't have shields for you to steal. So it can be a little... You can feel kind of rough against the Infested, but Corpus or Orican or even the Grineer, slightly less the Grineer, I think she really preys on the Corpus and the Technocytes just because they have shields, and you really, like, boom, instant max shields, which is really, really powerful for you. And then you just have so much damage. I know I'm using the Boltor, or the Burst in Incarnon, which is just like a good weapon. But, you know, she's just a good frame. You have a lot of survivability now, thanks to her change to her Psychic Bolts. And obviously the change to 4. We're going to unpause their AI so you can kind of see the power of her 4 here. Especially with this build. You absorb a bunch of damage. And this might just straight up kill all these guys, I'm gonna be honest. Boom. Yeah, it kind of straight up killed most of them. And I'm still invulnerable, and now my invulnerability ended. You can, of course, still use a build that looks like this one as well, where you've maxed out your duration. You use Assimilate with max duration, max efficiency, and you just kind of roll with... regular Intensify. You can put Umbral Intensify here if you want, but basically you're just using Dispensary to keep your 4 always on. They did make it so that way you can actually like jump and roll in her 4, but you're still like super slow. Obviously you still have the immunity. I have Rolling Guard on this just because this is a slightly outdated build that I don't really use anymore. I really just showed it for this. I just don't think that build is as needed now. I just don't, because one, I have Energy Siphon here. This is like a really outdated build. It shouldn't have Rolling Guard because you don't really need a defense at all, but I've reformatted her a little bit, so I was just putting bullshit on. You really don't need a lot for Equilibrium, and then of course you can always go the Catalyzing Shield Rolling Guard build like this one with Equilibrium. I would no longer replace 4 with Zada's Whisper. I would keep her 4 as is. I would not replace it. Again, outdated build. This isn't exactly accurate to how I even play her. Just, I would keep her base abilities straight up. I don't think there's any reason to replace her abilities at all. Again, Rolling Guard could be adaptation if you want, because she obviously has a lot of ability to just sustain that. Very good frame. Very, very strong frame now. So let's go on ahead and go into a little bit of a Orbiter. Let's go do some 1999 content. Vroom vroom, motherfuckers! So this is the Tech Rod Exterminate. That's kind of what I decided to do. There's no, like, relic missions here yet. I don't know if they will do Void Relics in 1999. I don't think so. I don't see why they would. But I wanted to choose kind of the Tech Rod enemies just because it's the new content. You guys want to see how she does in the new content. Let's go on ahead and drop a air support charge. Lots of anger. I'm actually using the wrong damage type for these guys. You want magnetic. Speaking of these guys, while we're here talking about them, they are resistant to cold, but I don't know if that's just because it's winter, and the season will change what they are or aren't weak to. But as long as they are weak to, or resistant rather, to cold, that makes them the only enemy in the entire game that's resistant to cold. But it also means that all of your elementals have, like, an enemy they're strong against and an enemy they're weak against. Although I can't think off the top of my head what's weak to cold. I honestly don't know if anything is. Cold used to just be good because it had no resistances. Nothing resisted cold. But now you got enemies that resist it. At least during the winter. I don't know if it's going to be like a they resist it in the winter, they're weak to it in the summer kind of thing. But, you know. I really didn't need to use this here. But it is nice layering with your invulnerability when you take rolling guard, because you can be rolling guard invulnerable, then you can sit in that and be invulnerable, and then I just lost it because apparently that's a fucking kill plane. But, you know, I would have gotten like nice 6-second duration of invulnerability, which means I would have only had 1 second before I could rolling guard, and that 1 second it would be covered by my shield gate. So if you, it takes a little bit of skill now, but if you like kind of pay attention to what you're doing, you shouldn't be able to go down. And you should have just like a ton of damage thanks to your passive. Especially, like, you are a little bit of a gun dependent frame, but that's not like the worst thing in the world. There are a lot of frames that rely on having good guns. There are a lot of weapon platforms. Is she the best weapons platform in the game? No. I wouldn't say that. Is she definitely like better now than she was before? Absolutely. And she already wasn't, like, terrible before, because she could do, like, her assimilate plus, like, running around invulnerable. She was kind of slow while she did it, but they made it so she could jump while doing it, which is nice. But yeah, it's a good time playing this frame now. Oh, I'm not really absorbing any damage. I've absorbed literally 0 damage. As such, I'm not going to get that much time in my invulnerability. But that's okay. She just kind of can really abuse invulnerability now. Because you can press 4 to be invulnerable. You steal overguard. When your overguard breaks, you get a 1. I think it's 0.5 actually. It's somewhere between 1 and 0.5 seconds of invulnerability that you get to abuse. I'm slowed from something. You get shield gating, which obviously gives you 2.5 seconds of invulnerability with this build, just because you're pretty much going to be perma-stealing shields as long as there's shields to steal in the first place. Or you get a nice chunk of armor, which admittedly armor is not like the best defensive stat in Warframe. Armor is actually kind of shit. But hey, overguard, you know. Overguard gate, shield gate. As you can see by looking up there, my overshields don't actually fall off either, because I'm using auger set, at least a little bit. You could of course switch to another auger mod if you don't want to use like rolling guard. If you don't think that that's necessary, you can use auger reach, or excuse me, auger message. I think I have reach on already. I didn't put like a ton of range on just because I really just like, you're throwing your spells out so much anyway. Like, what do you need a ton of range for? Mommy wants a word with us? Is that what she just said? I don't know the new voice lines, and I'm gonna have to censor the part where I said mommy, aren't I? Because people are fucking weird. Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. I don't care enough. They can be weird if you want. Oh yeah, and you kind of do really well against these guys too. As long as it's not the... I can't remember which one has the silence. I don't think Malice has the silence. If Malice has the silence, I'm gonna be slightly upset. Because you do just defense strip them as well. And once they lose their armor, and then you steal their shields as well, like, bada boom. Goodbye. Yeah. Nyx is a lot easier to survive on now that she just has this defense steal. Makes her really good against the Tech Rot. Makes her really good against the... Not as good against the Scaldra. You really, like, are better against the Corpus or the Tech Rot. Because you just, they have shields, and you really are just trying to steal shields more than anything else. Again, you could put on like Vigor or Vitality, increase your HP, and then the armor you steal means a little bit more. I would rather go the route of stealing more shields and just using Rolling Guard to keep myself alive. And abusing invulnerability states. It's really hard to appreciate, It's really hard to appreciate armor when you're just permanently doing things that make you immune to damage, like using shield gate, using overguard gate. Obviously, all enemies will give you the like at least slight chance at overguard, because those are just from Eximus, and every faction has Eximus units. So that one's all like your always useful one. Part of the reason you want so much strength is just to build that one up. It also does help the damage that you're mind controlled. I've never had that happen before, where two of those mood crystals appear right next to each other. I'm hoping to find the vaults. To explain the vaults, it's a new mechanic. They've never done this before, so you go and you get the key, and you take it to the vault. The key will spawn somewhere near the vaults, and you have to find it. And then it'll give you one of the 1999 these things, the hex treasures. It will drop a random one. I've had it drop a pizza, and then I've had it drop a the millimeter film reel thing. I've had both, so it's not actually giving you the, you know, void pinion every time. Wait a minute. Hold on, did I just call it a Zeramin accolade? Because that's what it fucking is, guys. Yeah, if you're confused as to how the bio-encoded safes work, it's just the Zeramin accolade again. Like, this is the 4th or 5th area they've added into the game where you find a statues and you turn them in for standing. Because this is just like, oh hey look, the Echo Voca, guys. That's not me bashing Warframe for doing it. I kind of am, as this is literally the 3rd area in a row where they've added in the find the Shrill Voca, or Bellow Voca, or Echo Voca, find the Void Feather. Like, I know that the Syndicates do it too, by the way. Like, you can find their like seeds for new Loca, and the parent sequence have like their little statues. Like, all of the Syndicates do it as well, but it's like, come on guys. I get a little stale to go and play find the item. Not gonna lie. Because that's all it is. It's just Easter egg hunt. But yeah, that's Nyx. Very strong frame. Very powerful. Very fun now. Very durable. Spoilers, by the way, I didn't know I'd be here. Spoilers for 1999. You get a new room. We're now in March. Goodbye.